Guten Tag and hello, and welcome to the Märklin Outsider episode 6, and my last episode before my trip to Germany. I have been talking about the Märklin digital system, and in the last episode I showed you their primary controller, digital controller, the Mobile Station 2. Today, for those who want to upgrade, who really want a control system and are willing to spend the money, I will show you a quick view of the Märklin Central Station 3, which is their big control system. Märklin introduced their first central station about 10 years ago, Central Station 1, and it was designed by the people who now make the E-Gleis command station. After the original Central Station 1, something happened contractually. E-Gleis went their own way and created their command station, and Märklin created the Central Station 2. And most people at the time would say, and I would probably agree, that the E-Gleis command station was superior, more user-friendly, more dynamic, and just nicer visuals on the screen than the Central Station 1 or even the Central Station 2. However, the Central Station 3, in my opinion, takes the E-Gleis and runs away from it. So let's look at the Central Station. All right, so here we have the basic Central Station 3. This is not the Central Station 3 Plus. The difference between the Central Station 3 Plus and this one is that the Central Station 3 Plus has a dedicated S88 port to connect additional controls and expansions, where this one you'd have to plug it into one of your spare auxiliary ports and then plug an S88 into that. It's ease of function. Also, that additional port allows you to combine a Central Station 3 with a Central Station 3 Plus in that computer master-slave relationship, like you're going to a club and you want to control different aspects of it. But this is your basic. Now, the easiest way to explain the Central Station 3 is, if you watched and understood what I showed you with the Mobile Station 2, think of this to begin with as a giant Mobile Station 2. Now, just to give you a comparative size, here is a Mobile Station 2 handheld digital controller for your Märklin system. This is the Central Station 3. Many of the basic things are there. Start with all black. We have 2 dials now instead of the 1. We still have a big stop button, and stop is the default mode. And you have a much nicer display screen. It's as advanced, if not more advanced, than even the E-Gleis system. So this really is as good as it gets. Now, I will start right off the bat, so you can turn this off if you lose interest here. This starts at $600 and can go as high as $900, depending on from whom you buy it and whether you get the Central Station or the Central Station 3. Now, I paid about $500 for this through my model train shop in Germany because I'm a member of their club, so I get they discount their prices anyhow, Modellbahnshop-Lippe. Anybody in America or Canada, I would suggest you shop at Modellbahnshop-Lippe, L-I-P-P-E. Their prices are unbeatable, especially in shipping to America. Shipping cost for most things is about $30, but you get it within 4 days of ordering. I will order something on the weekend and will be on my doorstep Wednesday or Thursday from Germany. And these are products that aren't even released in the United States yet. But anyhow, I'm not here to advertise for Modellbahnshop-Lippe. I'm trying to save you money. So I got this for about $500. plus the $30 shipping. But the controls at their simplest are just like the mobile station. You have your buttons here that control speed and direction, just like the other one. You turn these for speed, you press them in to change direction. And when you first get this out of the box, it'll go through a setup. And when I bought these, you had to tell it to do English first. And even when you tell it to do English first, there's still a lot of German in it. So having the owner's manual, which unfortunately is just a small little pamphlet, you have to actually go online and download the owner's manual in English to really get going. But to start it, just tell it to do English. It'll give you the choice of languages. Tell it to do English if that's your primary language. And then go through the guides, because I don't want to go through every single step. I just want to show you how quickly functional it is. So the first thing I want to show you, and again, I'm doing this from behind the camera, so please pardon me as I zoom in so that you can really see the display screen here. All right. Now, it gives you a fictitious layout. Up here it says Startpackung, which means starter's pack. All right. You can design your layout and operate all the turnouts and controllers, lights, and everything by programming them into here. I will show you how to do that when I start doing that once I'm done building my layout, but for now. All right, going across the top, you have a system tab. Before I go any further, this is a touch screen. You can use your fingers. You can get a stylus. I have a felt tip stylus here, which I used originally because I don't like getting the finger smudges and gradually touch screens that you keep touching with your fingers go. Or you have a USB port in the back to either plug in a wired or wireless mouse, and it will operate it. I use the mouse, so I don't know if you can see my little cursor rolling around here, but that's what I use. I use a mouse just like a computer. All right, now going across the top, your buttons are, you have system, and you'll notice there's a little red tab here. That means the system has an update. Märklin released an update last week for both Central Station as well as Mobile Station, and I'll talk about that at the end of this. You have a track board. This is where you go in to design your track. Your view, you can change what kind of view you have. Search, and again, everything is in English here, but then Zuka is search. Fortunately, they still have the standards iconology here for all your controllers. Looking for trains by address, events, that's where you've programmed a particular series of trains to run in a certain way, so you can go there and pick which one you want to do. Editing your system, and if you need help, they have a help button. And over in the corners on both sides, you have the default stop or go when it's not highlighted, but we'll put it back in stop mode before some trains start running. You can manually control turnouts by flicking them. Now this is not going to work because this is a fake, but if you had actual turnouts here, I'd click on this and it would change it to green go through, red go, you know, as you can see down here, green and red and everything. But this is a mock layout. That's why they say Startpackung here. Like I said, they mix German and English. Now everything in this is a drop-down slide bar menu. For example, this green tab here, I can pull down, and now that gives me, instead of controlling it on the board, I can control or program the individual turnouts or functions I have set up here. So I drop this down, and it was set on here, so I can control lights or whatever is programmed in. Again, this is a demo setup just to explain things to you. None of these would actually work. But if I wanted to edit this, I would just click on this. If I wanted to edit this turnout, I click on this. If I want to change it, I do all that. So I can close this all the way up, get it out of the way to show my board. Now you're asking, where are the trains? Well, the trains are down here. You click on the little red M, and all of a sudden I can pull this board up as far or as short as I want. And there's all my trains. And if I pull it all the way up there, now you can see I can control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trains plus,
and I accidentally clicked the speed on one here, which I don't want to do. I can control 8 trains, plus there are these little tabs on the side here that you pull out, and now it's 10 trains, if I can get that one to stay. So there's 10 of the 12 trains, and you can organize your trains, but these are all slide bars. So if you want to control all your trains, you pull it up. Otherwise, it just gives you pictures, and if you want to operate a train, you just double click on the symbol, or you click once and hold, and you'll slide the train over, and if you can see this, the icon moving over, I click it there, and now it's changed to that train control. But so this is your editing board as well. For example, if you want to edit trains, you just click the edit button, and you've got your choices. Edit locos, add a locomotive, add a direct drive, all your choices here, you can read those. I'm not going to go through it all, but edit locos, as soon as I click on edit locos, it gives you a choice, and you would double click on which train you want to edit. So let's click on, let's say my Railjet right here. So I click on that, and immediately you have configuration is the first board that will come up. My address is listed here, number of functions it has available is here, and then its name is here, and all of this can be edited. The speedometer, how fast it can go. And again, notice there are plus or minus signs because we're in the edit, we can change that. I can speed it up or slow it down. Now, I would suggest that you do this kind of stuff only on the programming track. And I will explain that in a minute when I'm done demonstrating this. Now, I have 3 tabs for my trains, as well as a list of the functions here. I click info. I'm sorry, it is on the info page. I said it's on configuration. I click setup. Now I can start changing functions around and really adjusting stuff. For example, what operation mode is it in? Or what does it have configured? And don't worry about this where it says no world of. I'll explain that as well. Acceleration delay, how fast or slow it starts up once you give it the command to move. So you can really set it for whatever reality you want. Braking delay. Now these are all the presets. I haven't messed with them. Maximum speed and volume. What is the maximum speed it can go? So you can set it, and this is scale realistic. You can set the volume. You can make it quieter if your engines are too loud, or you, like me, have a ceiling that is very noise reflective, so it makes things a little louder down here. You go into setup, you're doing all this. You can mess with the functions. You can move the functions around if you want. You can change the symbols. And I'll talk about symbols in a minute as well. Down here, if you have a local card you want to add, you just click on that. That's one of those cards I talked about. You slide it into the port that's on the top here, and you have a new loco added if it comes with a card. Loco reset, that's just automatic default. Loco update, if there is some sort of update for a specific loco that Märklin has released, you can click that button. When you are happy with the changes you've made, you would click OK. If you don't want to change anything, you click cancel. The third button is configuration. Now see it right here, it says CV edit cannot be done in stop state. So you actually have to take this off the stop state, and I can do it by hitting the stop button down here. Unfortunately, everybody is off, but now it's going to start reading the block, and if I want to, I can go in and change CVs. I don't mess with CV values. I don't mess with any of that. So this is now going through and reading the motor of the particular locomotive, and it'll start scrolling through everything here and listing all its functions and CV locations. I'm not a pro. I'm a beginner, like a few of you that have been commenting on these videos and appreciate me doing this in English because it's so hard to find English, and I appreciate you tuning in. But I don't mess with this stuff, but you have drop-down menus that you would click on. What do you want to change? What do you want to mess with? So I'm going to turn this off by hitting stop and go back to setup. So you can change any volume or speed or point here. And then over here on the side, you can also see that there is a much more expansive iconology or symbology for the different functions. Interior lights, front lights, different sound. This is running in operational sounds, your horns, fans blowing, air compressors, air pumps. There's a door here. Yes, you can have doors opening and closing. This is a speaker. It's like this, but notice it's a little different. This is an announcement speaker or symbol. So like station announcements and more. If you have air compressors releasing air, and some of these you'd have to go to the manual and look at this, but this is the nice thing. Now you're more specific. For example, you have a locomotive inside sounds. That is your actual train running sounds, and you can go through all these functions and test them. That's what this is down here. You can test them, you can switch them around, change their symbols. But again, I'm not going to do a tutorial right now on how to do all that. I'm just showing you how advanced this is and what you can do with it. You can change which icons display and what order they're in. And the little bars down here tell you how many pages there are. So there's a single bar lit up. This one does not have a lot of functions. So this would be your F0 through whatever. Now it says there's 32 functions, but only 14 of them are currently activated, which is all I want. All right, so let's get out of the screen. So I'm going to click cancel because just in case I bump something, I don't want those changes. If you want to completely delete the train, that's what that button is. So I'm going to click cancel just to get out of there, and I'm still in edit mode. So if you don't want to accidentally edit a train any further, click that edit off again so all those little X's disappear. But when you are in edit mode, you'll notice a little green button comes on to tell you that's the mode you're in. Excuse me, I'll do that. So there's the little green check mark, and then all these X's are for which train you want to edit. So I'm going to click that off again, and now we're in operational mode. You have a locomotives button here. This allows you to decide which locomotives you want. Show all, only your diesel locomotive, only your steam locomotives, only your electric locomotives. You can also go through and edit the order you want these to appear on here. I haven't done that. And lastly, on this pull-up menu, you'll see that two of the trains have a little red dot on them. That tells you those are the two that are currently in operation with the menu I'm about to show you. So I'm going to bring this back down just a bit. I can completely close it if I want. Two trains, as you saw, you can operate up to 10 trains and have their direction and speed controlled. But if you want to run their functions, only two are available to control at that much detail at a time with the basic system. So here is what I'm doing now. I'm sliding this bar over, and you can see all the functions are now displayed. You've got your speed dial here, and now you have all your functions. But again, you can see here a much more advanced form of symbology. But this can slide all the way out, and if you slide it far enough, you get a gauge like this. You get it to look like this. You can have a different display screen for operating that individual train. I'm going to slide that bar back. Oops, I'm going to slide it all the way back if it'll cooperate. Come on, let go. There we go. And I'm going to pull my ICE, which is a Märklin, and you can see it doesn't have as many functions on it, but everything is there ready to go, so you have different operational looks and modes for whatever you're comfortable with, and you can personalize it all. All right, so these slide screens. Now, when you go to load in a train, I mentioned a little bit ago the programming track. Any control system like this, and anybody who does trains, you know what I'm talking about. You usually want a separate track to test your trains out and to operate your trains. Now, when you're doing DC, maybe it's not as important, but you still put it on a different track to test. People who do digital, and if you have an ECOS or a central station, you have a separate powering system to a separate track, which you call your programming track. That is the track you put the train on when you first want to load it into the system. And what this does is it avoids conflicting with the other trains because these are separate. These are completely separate. They are not connected, except all the information goes in. I'm going to pull this out a bit, and I don't know if you can see back here, but I have two sets of wires. One goes to my main system, and one goes to my programming track. My programming track, you can see, is right behind here. Then my main tracks are wired up here. So I keep them separate, and you'll pardon me bouncing around with this tripod. I am doing things behind the camera again, trying to keep it straight and make sure everything's in. So you do everything on the programming track, and once it's loaded in so that you're not fighting with CV values or trains with the same address, you change what you need to change through the editing functions I just showed you. You change the address and it's automatic. There's no real programming. This does it all. If I put a train on here and it's address 10 and I want it to be address 17, I just click where I was showing you. I would go in where it said address, I would click 17, tell it to make the change, and it just programs the chip and says, okay, you're now address 17. It's that easy. In the old days, early digital, you had to go in and change it all very manually. You had to change all the CV values. Now you don't. This does everything for you. It changes the address. And that's important. Märklin does rotate its addresses, but most companies that make trains for Märklin, make AC trains for the Märklin AC system, they're preset at address 3. So if you have more than one train that's not Märklin, you've got more than one train that had an address of 3. I had a Brava, a Pico. Actually, I have 2 Picos now and a Roco. All of them were preset to address 3. I just put them on here and I change their addresses and they run without conflict. But you do it on the programming track, and then once you're happy with it, the programming track will load the information into the main screen computer, and then as soon as you put that train on your main layout, the information's already there. You're good to go. Plug and play, ready to run, just like I showed you with the MS2 in the last video. It's the same thing. You put the train on the programming track, and 9 times out of 10, if not 99 times out of 100, this will automatically read it, load it in. It reads Märklin Motorola MFX, and it reads MFX Plus, the new Märklin system, of course, but it also reads DCC. So otherwise, this runs the same way your MS2 would run, just much prettier. All right, you can get train symbols loaded in. Again, when you go to add a train, you can click edit. So I'll hit edit locos, and if I pick a train like this, I can go through, and when it says edit, I would just click on this picture here. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to accidentally mess it up, but I would just double click on this picture and it will give me a menu and say, okay, what picture do you want? And if the picture you don't want is in your locomotive, you can load it on to the central station a couple of different ways. One is you can take a USB port, and there is a USB port. There's actually 2 USB ports on the back here. One is just for powering like a mouse, or you can throw in a cell phone or whatever and keep it powering up while you're down here running your trains. And the other port is loads information in like a computer. It will read that port and you can add pictures to the database. All right, so you've heard me mention before the different decoders by Motorola. There's MM, the old one, MFX, the newer one, and then MFX Plus, which is an expanded chip that they introduced a couple of years ago. But MFX Plus does nothing different except when you come to the Central Station 3. And I will demonstrate now that difference. MFX Plus not only has more functions, it can go up to 36 functions, but MFX Plus gives you a little bit of fun. Sorry, I'm kicking this. It gives you a little bit of fun. So I'm going to zoom in on the screen again so that you can get the best view possible with this and see what I'm doing. So just bear with me. All right. So I'm going to open this slide tab. And as you can see, I currently have my OBB railjet, my Austrian railjet. But over here, I have the Märklin metronome. This is an MFX Plus chip. So I'm going to slide this over to the control board so you can see it's on here. So I do that, and there's the normal, okay, it's on. And by the way, when these are lit up yellow, it means they're activated. So I'll turn that off. Apparently, I forgot to turn it off last time I ran it a week ago. But here's your normal view. I got my speed control, and if I wanted to, I can open a train and run it on the other side and have access to all that. Or again, I can pull this up, and then all of a sudden, all the trains I want to run, or all 10 trains, could be run at the same time. But don't get too distracted. Let me shut this down since I've already got this over. If it's an MFX Plus, how do you tell MFX Plus? Well, it's got the MFX symbol, but there is an additional, like you can look over here and compare this if you want. Here's a regular MFX. The MFX Plus has this additional little arrow circle coming around the M. On Essential Station 3, click on the tab. Now expand it. There's this view if you want that view, but keep going. And once you do that, ta-da! You have what they call the world of operation view screen. And so it's designed to look like your typical front of that metronome locomotive, the 146-2 metronome locomotive. It's all set to look like that, and you can control everything from here and run a train just like you would in one of those computer train simulators. And so you got all your buttons here. And in fact, the MFX chip is designed to have energy usage. So if it's diesel powered, you can run out of gas. You got to watch the air pressures in the brake system. You've got to do everything. You can even program in stops, and you run this like train simulator, but it's actually going to run on your track this way. But it has things already factored in to really add to your realism. This is called the Märklin world of operation. So again, you just put the train in on the control side. You can do it either way and slide it, but you click on the red loco, you pull it over, and when you let go, you're into the world of operation mode, and you still have all your functions here. I'm in stop mode, so it's not working. Maybe if I click stop mode off. There we go. Station announcements. I don't know if you can hear those. Doors opening and closing. How much realism do you want? So you got all your 8 basic functions here, and then everything else is controlled here, including sound operations. So you click that button like you've just turned it on. It's just kind of cool. Now, mind you, you can only do one train this way. Now, you could have set up 6 other trains to run, and you're just letting them free run without specifically controlling them, and just control your one train this way. Pardon me. And if you're really worried about it, you just get out of that and go back to regular control and pull all your slider bars up. But this is all ease of function. But also, this system allows you to integrate, because that's what I keep bragging about Märklin, how integrated it is. You can integrate this with computers, smart tablets, and everything else, but you need to set up wireless. There's 2 ways you can do this. You have to be connected to the internet. Your Märklin's central station, and if you can see, let me pull this back. Sorry, that got off center there. You see this big blue cord coming in here. That's an Ethernet cord. I can either put a router directly onto this, a dedicated router just for this, or because I'm in my basement and my router box is for my entire house internet is up on the wall over here. I'll just point that way. It's up on the wall just over here. I just ran a cord from a router box straight into the connection here. So I'm just wired straight into my house Wi-Fi. But once you do that, once you're connected to the internet, there's so many cool things. I might want to just do a separate video to explain it all, but I will try to demonstrate this. But I can create a fully integrated system. The first one is on my laptop computer. And I'm going to bang and jangle this around. Once you learn to set up, and let's see if I can zoom in and you can see this, what this is called. It's called the Märklin CS3 web app. Okay. Now, they have an older version of this, but you had to have a VPN, and all it did was mirror your central station. In other words, whatever was on your central station was on this screen. However, if you go back to my central station, you can see the screens do look alike right now. However, I can do almost every function and operate trains. I can do all the slide bars here, and I can control different trains. I can pull this all the way up. I'll pull this over. Notice I had a couple of different trains. I just happen to be running my metronome from the computer here. But I have every pull-down function that I have on my Central Station 3, but I'm going to spin this camera around, and you'll notice nothing has changed on my Central Station 3. In other words, this is an independent controller. It is almost like having a separate Central Station 3. It's like having two. I can operate different trains. I could be running my turnouts on this one and my trains on the main central station. The only thing you cannot do on the computer that you can do on the central station is the programming. You can't program the layout, you can't program the trains. You have to do that with the central station. But you can control everything from a computer here. But you're still not really mobile. But this is really cool, and I will do this in a separate video to show you how to get to this. So if you're like, oh man, how do you do that? That's really cool. I will show it in a different video. You can go to the Märklin webpage in English, and it tells you how to do it, but I'll show you how to do it again in a separate video. Maybe I'll even try to do that real quick on Monday before I leave for Germany. However, laptop is still sort of like your central station. You are still kind of stuck on an island. You're not very portable. Last week I mentioned with the Mobile Station 2, you're not quite mobile because you have a 5-foot, 6-foot cord, and you can only move that far. Now, if you're sitting at a chair controlling here, it doesn't matter. Speaking of which, with your central station, you can attach up to 2 mobile stations. See, we got the all black theme going here. You can control, and again, these operate independently. They control the trains that are in the central station system database, but I can put 1 train on here to direct control, 1 train on here to direct control, 2 on here. I can do 2 more on the computer. That's 6 trains right there that you're controlling, where you have individual control. Not to mention you could have all 10 scrolled there and 10 more on the computer. But you can control these, and you don't have to set up anything master slave. You attach them, and the central station starts programming them, and it loads in everything you want to load in, or you can do it manually through the, if you remember last week, the mobile station, I would click Shift, Train, and where it says New Loco, I would click on the New Loco again, and then from loco list, but this time instead of the loco list that's on my database that's on the mobile station 2, it'll read the list that's on this database, and I can drop trains. So if you want to update your mobile station, that's what you do. You connect it to a central station and you load in whatever information that this now needs since this updated. Speaking of update, I'll try to talk about that in this video as well. So anyhow, let me get out of that. However, how do you get truly mobile? Well, that's where this comes into play. This is your tablet. I can also do this on a smartphone. Let me pull my tablet out here. And you can see, whoops, figures I would bump something. I have two apps here. There's the Märklin main station app and mobile station app. These are purchases. The one is $6.99. The main station is $12.99. But once you buy it, you never buy it again. It will carry over onto any other device. Once you purchase it, it carries on to every device. The main station is the good one. So when I click on main station, it starts to load up, and voila. Now I'm truly mobile. Again, I have all the options. Control my layout functions, control my trains. I can hit an information button up here, that info button, and I can add 2 more trains to control. And now I can control 4 trains, including functions on here. I hope you can see that. That is a Märklin app. It is a pay app. This one was $12.99, but you can do everything except programming here. But now I'm truly mobile. I'm charging it right now, but I can take this and go anywhere in the house and control my trains. Now I'm truly mobile. And I have a tablet control. But it's so much more than some of those small handheld controllers. This is beyond your mobile station 2, and you're truly mobile with it. Now, this was the main station one. The other one just allows you to control a couple of trains, and it's much more like the mobile station. But either way, you have to have the Wi-Fi in a central station to do this. Those apps will not work unless you have the central station first. That's the only drawback. You can't do this without the central station. All right, so now you have a truly integrated system. You have, and again, I have these on my my phone as well. If I open it up and scroll through my phone, I have a last page where I have all my Märklin, including a generic app, which also works, and it works okay. But I can now run it on my smartphone as well. It's all integrated. So you have the central station, and you control everything from here, your speed dials, everything else. Nice, ergonomic, design, really nice function. You have mobile station, you have laptop computer, all integrated, all relatively easy to set up, and you're good to go. This is much nicer than about anything out there. And for the price, it's probably the best you're going to get. People will argue ECOS versus Märklin in the digital, especially 3-rail. But be that as it may, again, these are pricey. You don't have to go here. You can use the mobile stations and do just about everything. But this is where you can start designing your layout and control it all from here, instead of buying one of those really expensive train programming systems, which you can run integrated with these as well, because that's what Märklin is about. It's about integration. Now, there's one last thing. I know a friend of mine will probably nag me if I don't point this out to you. Again, I would like to do it in a separate video, but at the beginning of this video, I pointed out that there was a little red button here next to system. What that means is you have an update to your system. When I click on this button, or I click on system, if I click on system, I come to this screen. I have that red button here, tells me there is a system update. I have a page menu here. I can flip back and forth, but it's on the central station. So I can click on that, it goes to the page. Notice that it now says CS31. That's the default name. This is also a manual shutdown page or whatever else you want to do. All right, but you see the red button here, and you'll see this symbol. I hope everybody can see this symbol over here. When you have the red button here, and it's on the CS3, that means you have an update, and you click on that, and it will download and install the update. Actually, it'll give you the option of what you want to install and not install. So if I click on that, new CS3 10 update packages are available. Do you want to perform the update now? Yes. And now it's going into the actual update. And you get a progress bar here. And then it tells you what else. It gives you what do you want to run versus what do you not want to run. And once it's ready to go, notice how the start button is highlighted. The OK button is not. The OK is for accepting what it's done. And again, a mixture of German and English, but when you get to this page, it's almost always all German. So just bear with me. Abbrechen, obviously the symbols work, so even if you don't speak German, I happen to speak German. So I'll click start, and now it's going to start uploading all these changes. But while it's doing that, because I don't want to waste your time with that, one of the changes is this. And I will demonstrate it. Yes, I will demonstrate in a later video, friends out there who are nagging me about it. One of the updates is regarding this. There's a new systemware update for the Mobile Station 2. And I want to mention this quickly because I don't know if it's just the way the universe likes to make fun of me, but in my previous video where I talked about the Central Station or the Mobile Station 2, I talked about how you could only run 16 functions. This week, Märklin, as part of this update, this week, Märklin totally rewrote the encoding for the mobile stations, and it changed some of the symbols, so it actually added more symbols. So where I said it had a limited iconology system, it now has a slightly more advanced iconology. And also, I'll have to demonstrate it because this video is already going on 40-45 minutes, I'm sure. I will demonstrate it in another video. Yes, Steve, I will get to it eventually. But if I were to click on this, and click on, whoops, wrong button. So let me do this. Click on this, go into here, MS2 information, scroll down, language protocols, accessories. You'll see update the MS2. I can't do it right now because this is in the function and drop mode, so it won't let me do it, but I would hit update MS2 and all the new information would automatically be loaded onto this, including the new 3.5.5 operating system for the mobile station, which not only allows for more icons, but it allows you to control all the new functions. It creates a scroll page for the functions. So instead of only being able to control up to 16 functions, you can now get all the way up to the 36 functions that are normally there. So that's the big news, is they've actually improved the Mobile Station 2. Right after I talked about its limitations, two of my biggest complaints, they just fixed. It has nothing to do with anything I did. Obviously, they've been working on this a long time, but it is what they have done. They have updated the Mobile Station 2, but that's what you do. If you have a Mobile Station 2, and even if you don't have a central station, there's a local train shop, you can take it there and they will update it for you. They'll plug it into their central station 3. If you've got a friend, you can plug it in and upload the latest software and information. Otherwise, if you're like me, where I have the central station and I use mobile stations as well, I either have them already plugged in, and I'll just click the update and it will do it. It can't do it right now because it's currently running an update on the main system. So I will show you more how to update and work on things later. I've already run way too long with this video, but even when I'm trying to go fast and show so much, there's so much more I haven't demoed. There's so much more I haven't shown. And some of it I have to learn myself. Okay. That was, believe it or not, a brief look at the Central Station 3. There is so much more it can do. I don't know how to do it all myself.
I didn't even show you everything I've learned so far, and this video's got to be going on 40-45 minutes. And I have to cut it somewhere. However, the Märklin integrated digital system, if you're using primarily Märklin, using the Märklin track, Märklin trains, but it's very agreeable with other companies' products, especially signal companies like Wiesmann and Light Systems and all that. It all works. Some will work better than others if they're not Märklin. Märklin sells its own lights and additional decoders and programming stuff. But hey, you like Walters or you like Wiesmann or Lens products, they will work. But it's just a plug-and-play power system. That's the nice thing of the C-Track. That's the nice thing of the mobile station and the central station. It's just ready to read. It is plug-and-play, run your trains. Märklin's integrated digital system makes it easy to get to it right away and not fudge around with so much additional wiring and programming and everything else. This plug-and-play system is amazing. If you don't like the C-Track, you will still have a lot of the same success and ease of operation with their K-Track, their more realistic track. But the Märklin C-Track and digital system is just so fun to use, integrated, and it's designed to get you into it. Whether you're 8 or 80, you plug and play, you're ready to go in a 1/8 of the time, a 1/5 of the time, than the old days where you had to program everything in. Again, if you go from straight DC, no functions, anything, because you're scared of digital, it doesn't take any longer to set up a Märklin starter system with a mobile station 2 than it does to set up a completely analog, no functions, nothing system. It takes the same amount of time. You hook up your track, plug in the powering system, put your train on, boom, it's ready to go. And that's the Märklin advantage. And I don't get a dime from Märklin doing this. It's just as somebody very new into the hobby, scared of a lot of stuff. I don't like having to do all the wiring. I don't like having to do a lot of other stuff. I have arthritis in my hands. It will eventually progress elsewhere. Those of you who watch the videos, you've seen my thumb shaking. I do have nerve damage, but Märklin just makes it easy for me to do it. And if you're a pro, build your beautiful layout, Märklin still makes it easy to operate everything. So that has been the Märklin digital system over a series of videos, this one being the longest of all. I hope I'm not burning your ears too much with this, but there's just so much information, and I myself feel like, hey, somebody needed to tell me this, somebody needed to tell me that, somebody needed me to get me this information first. And I'm trying to give it to those people thinking of getting into the hobby, or like me, Americans who kind of like the Märklin system but don't quite know what to do. So anyhow, this is probably my last video. I don't know if I'll do the Mobile Station 2 update video because in 4 days, I'm leaving for Germany for 3 weeks. My wife and I are off to Germany again. We're excited and we're getting ready to go. We just finished our work year, so we have 3 weeks off, although technically we actually have to go into work on Tuesday and Wednesday morning, but that's just to turn in our stuff and disappear for a while. So anyhow, I hope for those of you thinking about the Märklin system, not knowing about the Märklin system, I hope these last few videos going digital with Märklin have been useful to you based on a couple of feedback comments. Apparently the answer was yes, and that makes me happy. Anyhow, I will bid you all auf Wiedersehen and Tschüss. Bis später. See you later. And to everybody out there, happy trains.